Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ted Warner with the Texas Library Association. Thank you all for joining us today. We'll now be getting started with our webinar for today, Win at the Library, Libraries and Workforce Development. And I'm going to turn this over right away to our main speaker, Gloria Meraz.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Gloria Meraz. I'm Communications Director with the Texas Library Association, and I am so pleased to have wonderful speakers for you this afternoon. L.G. Swift, who's the Regional Manager of Urban Services for Fort Worth Public Library, will talk to you about some of the great things Fort Worth is doing with regards to workforce development. And Dawn Nadine, who's Manager of Library and Workforce Sales for Learning Express, which has an extraordinary suite of resources that are made available to Texas public and academic libraries through the wonderful TechShare program brought to us by the Texas State Library and Archives Commission. This is actually a really wonderful topic, libraries and workforce. I'm going to give you a bit of an overview in terms of what we're doing in the state and some direction that I think we are all going to be marching forward on together, given some recent changes, and then give you a chance to listen to some great work that's happening in the state and some wonderful resources that are available to you, because it has become very clear to us at TLA and certainly to libraries on the national scene that our role in workforce development is only growing in terms of appreciation and recognition. Libraries have, of course, been about workforce development for a very long time, only we did not call it that. So with that, let me start with a little bit about what workforce development is. And, you know, we think about what we do in libraries in terms of literacy and education and helping people succeed, but we don't often think of it in terms of actual workforce development. That has always seemed to us much more of an economic interest, but it is in fact part of what we do. Workforce development is an economic and educational development approach, and it enhances economic stability and prosperity. It focuses on individuals, and it is shaped largely by local needs. Sound very familiar because that's exactly what libraries do. You'll see on the slide the side-by-side comparison, and what we are talking about is the same thing in two different languages. As a matter of fact, as we have started looking at this issue, it has become very interesting how much that libraries do has not really been recognized as workforce issues, but given some changes in the state, a couple of years ago, funding for things like adult education and literacy classes was moved from the Texas Education Agency to the Texas Workforce Commission, thereby broadening the scope of what traditional workforce stakeholders considered to be their purview of activity, and suddenly started looking at, well, who are the people who are providing training in this area beyond the K-12 community, who really deals with family literacy? And of course, libraries were at the forefront of that endeavor. So much of what we do in terms of working on supporting economic achievement within our communities and educational outcome is standard true library work, providing programs, technology, and educational resources that serve people of all ages. And this, I think, is one of the greatest assets libraries bring to the table in workforce development, is that we have such a broad spectrum of users, and we often talk from cradle to grave. And that is certainly true. And what we've learned in terms of workforce and how it's being defined and looked at a national level, it's no longer people who are trying to find a better job or people who are unemployed. We're looking at workforce from how do we train the youngest kids to prepare for being in the workforce, for graduating? How do we make an environment for those kids to learn? So that goes to family literacy. In fact, what policymakers are now discovering is that if we're going to talk meaningfully about workforce, we have to talk about the totality of what it takes to create educated young people and adults who are ready with the skills and the context to learn. Of course, libraries offer facilities and staff to help in all of these efforts. And because we are community organizations, we do work with other partners to further these goals. One of the most important points that I like to press when I'm talking about workforce issues, For so long, it seemed to me that there was a great divide within public policy circles. There were the educators who dealt with the math and science, and then there were the workforce stakeholders, business and industry, and people who helped people find jobs. People build resumes and so on. It seemed like these two things were very separate. And apart from the more philosophical connections that we're seeing now, there was, I think, a sense of territoriality, which was, okay, educators, your purview is K through 16. Ours is, adults who are working. There was a sense that we couldn't all work on the same kinds of educational economic issues for some reason. But I think a lot of that, because of these changes that have been happening in policy and just research that shows what it takes to get people to succeed, we know that we're not really stepping on each other's toes. What we need to do is work together. And this is certainly borne out by looking at the simple numbers. I did some quick research, and just looking at some very simple statistics, the Texas civilian labor workforce is about almost 13 million people. The Texas employment rate, you'll see on the slide, is a little lower than that. In a given month, and I took a sample month of February, the unemployment in a month is about 700,000 people. So that's a pretty large number. The Texas Workforce Commission, which has traditionally been the agency to support the folks who are looking for jobs, reports serving, and these are sort of crude numbers, but looking at unduplicated numbers and sort of averaging that out, about 122,000 people per month. That leaves about 500,000 people that are not served by services through TWC in a month. That's an extraordinarily large number. Now, we know all these folks need some kind of service, and I would bet good money that a large portion of those folks are finding some kind of support in the public library. They may be going there for resources, to use computers, for any number of things. But we know that there is a large unserved population, and we all have a great interest in working together to address that gap. So the issue of silos is one that I think really is not meaningful at all these days. So the opportunity for us to learn more about our role as libraries and educational institutions and workforce, and to create a culture of willingness to partner and look at how we can support the broad state goals for workforce is very timely. And it is timely because there have been several changes. We have here a list of some well-known workforce stakeholders, including the Texas Workforce Commission and the 28 local workforce solutions boards. Many of you will know that there are 28 workforce solutions boards divided geographically across the state, and they are charged with the primary job of creating workforce assistance programs regionally. And these include everything from some training programs to also assisting with government resources for child care and all sorts of things. And we do know that there are many libraries across the state that are partnering very successfully with workforce boards, and LG will give you a very good sense of what just one library is doing, but we have had many wonderful examples. Now, the current news that's happening, many of you may have heard on the news this morning that President Obama signed the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act this morning. And this is a pretty substantial amendment to the Workforce Investment Act that I think had gone on since, had been in place in statute since 1998, so it had not had a major redraft in quite a long time. One of the major components of this redrafted law is that it does include public libraries as acceptable, as legitimate and eligible forms for federal funding for adult education and some other workforce training, which is incredible news for us. There are some legislative issues to address in terms of how those partnerships work and how libraries can in fact benefit from that eligibility. We'll still have to work with Texas Workforce Commission and governing bodies within the state in terms of allocating funds and making sure that those partnerships are in existence so that libraries can benefit from that funding. But that was a huge step forward. While many workforce boards are locally supporting programs at libraries, to have public libraries stipulated in statute is in a federal statute, no less, is incredibly important, because that federal statute also stipulates that that states also have to include within their programs of services and how local workforce boards are approaching issues. Those plans have to include some designation as to partnerships and who are the eligible entities with which they are working, and that will apply now to libraries. So that's incredibly important. I know that there have been some questions about how higher education libraries relate in all of this, and community colleges and higher education actually have existing programmatic ways within this sphere of activity. So we're getting additional coverage for libraries through this new Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act. So we will look very closely at what the impact is in terms of policy within the state, and I would certainly expect that during the session that begins in January, the state legislative session, we'll see some changes to the Texas Workforce Commission procedures and how they are approaching funding, and I think that speaks very well for us. So all of this boils down to what are libraries doing and how are we partnering. We know we're doing this work. There are great partnerships there, but we really want to be positioned to be as visible on the workforce front, because that's first and foremost part of the mission of libraries, to support people in all endeavors, but also I think it will help our potential partners in workforce issues see that we are very good contributing and successful partners in these areas of workforce. So with all that being said, I will now happily yield the webinar to L.G. Swift from Fort Worth Public Library to talk about some of the great things they're doing in Fort Worth, and he will be followed by Dawn Nutting, who will talk to you about some of the wonderful resources you can use at your library on workforce issues. LG, take it away.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this webinar. And anytime that we can speak and I can speak on behalf of partnerships with workforce and other agencies, I'm happy to do so. I will say that the partnership that we have had, or partnerships that the Fort Worth Library has had with our library that we call the eSkills Library has been, I would consider, very successful. Our community partners include Workforce Solutions of Tarrant County Community College, Friends of the Fort Worth Public Library, Texas State Library and Archives Commission, City of Fort Worth, I've already said Tarrant County College, the Learning Centers of North America, Tarrant Literacy Association, as well as a number of other Fort Worth entities that have joined in because they know how important this is to the community. Just to give you a little history, the eSkills Library used to be what we call the Meadowbrook Branch Library, which was located in East Fort Worth, or is in East Fort Worth. And the library itself was in danger of being closed prior to 2011 because of budgetary issues. And after we went through the budget process, then there were several things that came to the library and to our director, Dr. Glenice Robinson. And some of those things that presented themselves as opportunities happened to be through the Workforce Commission. And from that point forward, the library met with workforce people and developed a plan of action to keep that library open. Part of the way that the library was kept open was it was totally transformed into a training library and a job center library with classes from the Workforce Commission initially. And we had some 26 classes a week that we began with. And as we went on further, it changed some. After about a year, we presented, the Tarrant County College has a GED program, and so we partnered with them so that we could also offer GED classes, and they have been very, very successful. The actually goals of our eSkills Library, and we named it eSkills because we wanted to emphasize the fact that we were very much into digital literacy at this particular location. We originally had approximately 10 computers at that location for the public. Now we have about 40 computers. Plus we do have a learning lab there where many presentations and classes are held. Of course, we're offering classes and workshops to improve skills, providing job search resources and training, making available a sufficient number of internet-accessible computers. And of course, our services through Workforce have been finding a job, starting a business, learning or updating skills, improving technical literacy, and continuing education. As you can see here, this is the library, and it was transformed. The picture on your top left is what it was transformed to. The right is what it had been. So there were a lot of books. The collection itself was decreased considerably, and we do still have a number of youth materials there. We have Spanish materials. And one of the interesting things that we found out as a result of the transformation of this library is we found out that there were many more Hispanics in the community than we had first originally were geared for or programmed for. And so therefore, we've really updated the collection with Spanish materials, both in adult and juvenile, which has been a great help. The classes that we have now have found out that they are, we're getting many more Hispanic into the classes than we had originally thought. Just to give you some other information, in the eSkills, the first year opened July 11th through July of 2012, the eSkills Library and Job Center had around 1,700 people attending classes. In the FY 2013, 3,500 people attended classes at eSkills, which is more than double. And for 2014, the attendance numbers are estimated to be right around 4,000, so we continue to grow. As of June 2014, the top attended classes are Spanish language classes. We have 598 students attending Spanish adult computer classes. We have the Spanish language GED classes, and we have attendance of over 480 students for the past 9 months in those. And although the numbers have not been as high for the adult English computer classes, 337 students have attended those classes over the past 9 months. So it's the library has really attracted a lot of people, and they're not just from right around where the library is in the service area. We're getting them from Arlington. We're getting them from Dallas. We've had them from considerable mileage away from the library. So we feel like it's really been a very great thing for the community at large, really, to have this library and to have the partnerships. And one of the things that I will say is that the partnerships have led to 2 awards through the Workforce Commission. One was in 2012, and it was for our partnerships with other community agencies. And then in 2013, we had the Service to Community Award, and we were up against 28 workforce boards throughout the state of Texas. They all submitted proposals, including Houston, Central Texas, East Texas, and West Texas, and we won. And the reason that we won was it was due to the collaborative efforts and partnerships of Workforce and the library and other entity statistics. To give you another idea of how successful this particular facility is, we have this past year had 70% job placement in the east side of Fort Worth, or that translates to 589 jobs that people have found. We've had over 5,700 students attend classes in eSkills from 2011 to 2013. So, and let me also say, as a result of the Service to Community Award, the Workforce Board for this area won $15,000 because of that award. So it's a win-win situation for all of us, and I think that the numbers certainly do are an example of how successful the program has been. I know that when we first started with the program, of course, there was an MOU in March of 2011 that had to go to council, and they enthusiastically approved that, which everyone was very happy about. And I think that the community at large certainly has been looking at what all the library in that particular area has done, so much so that we would like to expand it to our other 16 facilities throughout the city because of the interest from the community and because of the popularity of the classes that are there. I think that there's so much room for every library really to have a program like this. And in working with the workforce and any other entity that you have really in your city as a public library, or even if you are a community library, a community college library, excuse me. I think that there's room for all of us to really work together to and work with workforce and other agencies to have successful programs like this. The other things that we really would like to do, of course, is to expand, as I said, the programming to other locations, but we'd also like to expand our electronic resources. Currently, we have Learning Express, self-paced courses, practice tests covered by GED, English as a second language. And by the way, we found out also that we desperately need English as a second language at this library, so that is another course that we started just this past year. We also have Resume Maker and PowerSpeak languages. One of the more touching stories that I have had is that a lady that called me and was desperately needing to learn Spanish to get a job, because she said everywhere she turned it required that she know how to speak Spanish. And so we did start that class, and right off the bat we had 17 people from the community come to the first class, and it continues to grow. So everything in this particular facility is workforce related, and it's, you think that there's not a need for some of these things, but amazingly we have seen the whole all of our programs grow as the years have gone by, and we continue to add to that. So that is really all that I have to say today. And the next speaker is going to be Don Nudding, Manager, Library and Workforce Sales Group, Learning Express.
Thanks, LG, and thank you again for having me here today. Learning Express is very proud to be working with TLA and with TechShare to help to provide our resources, and I'm here today to talk about both of them, our Learning Express Library program as well as our Job and Career Accelerator program, and how these both these resources can help improve workforce development for your students and patrons to help them fit into today's workplace. And first off, I'm going to start off talking about the skills gap, and I'm sure many of you know about the skills gap in the United States, simply that our job seekers don't have the skills that today's employers are looking for, and because of that, millions of jobs go unfulfilled. And what we here at Learning Express feel is that we have the materials to help bridge that skills gap so that your job seekers can find the jobs and have the skills that they need. And we go about doing that with the development skills that we provide by helping with materials to gain GED preparation, to learn how to use computers, helping your patrons and students explore different occupations and career paths, helping them create resumes and different types of letters to help get them the jobs that they want, and of course our career and occupational test preparation. First, a brief overview of Learning Express. We started as a publishing company of test and skills remediation back in 1995, and around 2001 we launched our first website, which was known as learnatest.com, which eventually became Learning Express Library, and now our program is available in thousands of public libraries, schools, and colleges across the United States, including 23 29 statewide subscriptions, including the great state of Texas. Here you can see the new version of Learning Express Library. This is version 3.0, which we released earlier this year. So it has a brand new look and a feel to it, and all of the great new features that it entails. And right now you're taking a look at our Career Center, and this is where all of our occupational practice and license materials are located. And when we talk about what sort of materials we have, what sort of careers we cover, you can see here it cover a wide array of different occupations, from allied health to caseworker, commercial driver, culinary arts, EMS, homeland security, law enforcement, nursing, you name it. All of this on this one program. And they're all located in our Career Center. And to get to the exams, you can just go and click on our Prepare for Occupational Exams. It's just one of the areas that we have materials for, and that will get you to our practice exams. And to give you an understanding of what our practice exams look like, you can see one on the screen right now. And all one has to do is to click on the circles next to the choices that are provided. And once that's done and you go and score your exam by clicking on Score My Test, you'll get an instant score with a breakdown of your scoring so you can see exactly what your strengths and your weaknesses are. On top of that, we also provide you with a full answer key, which will give you detailed explanations of your right and your wrong answers, and provide you with subject indicators to help visualize your problem areas, and to, of course, act as a remedial experience for the test taker. Within the new version of Learning Express Library, we also have an Explore Careers section, and it provides an overview of all of the resources that we have for the various careers that are on Learning Express Library. Each career that we carry will give you an overview of it, as well as what sort of on-the-job activities you'll have, salary information, what the education you'll need, and the outlook for growth. You'll even get direct links to the practice exams and electronic books we have for that particular occupation. Besides vocational practice, we also provide, in regards to workforce development, we provide practice exams for the work keys. And for those of you that aren't familiar with work keys, it's a job skills assessment tool to help see if you're workplace ready. And by passing the work keys exams, you can achieve your National Career Readiness Certificate. Learning Express provides two different practices for the three core areas that make up the work keys, which will help you, of course, get your National Career Readiness Certificate. When we talk about the skills gap, a lot of times we're talking about soft skills, how to communicate in the workplace, or critical thinking. These are some of the biggest areas that job seekers are most deficient in, and which cause a lot of what we hear when we talk about the skills gap. And Learning Express provides over 180 electronic books on Learning Express Library, and a number of these deal with workforce development issues like writing skills and critical thinking and public speaking. You can also find out about our various careers and you can see some of them here, like our best green jobs and becoming a firefighter or becoming a homeland security professional, just to name but a few of our career books that are available on the site. Now, when we talk about the job market today, there's always a great concern about those who do not possess a high school diploma. So whether you're looking for a job now or hopeful to attend college somewhere down the line, your opportunities will diminish greatly without a degree. So Learning Express has a full set of practice for the GED in our new high school equivalency center. And this, of course, is the brand new GED for 2014. In the GED, we now have a skills check area, which is called Are You Ready? Or Build Your Basic Skills to make sure you build up to GED readiness, tutorials complete with lesson plans to prepare for the GED, and of course, our authentic test practice. Here you can see one of the tutorials that we have for the GED. This is just the introduction tutorial. We also have specific subject tutorials for each section of the GED. And it's on this area here that you can learn how to use some of the new parts of the GED, which of course is now a computer-based exam. So with our Click Here feature, you'll be able to practice using the calculator, using and understanding how to use the split screens and scroll bars, and also how to use the new tabular format on the GED. As mentioned, we have a new Are You Ready section as well, and this will provide you full-length practices for the TABE exam, or the Test of Adult Basic Education, and this will help to see if you're high school equivalency ready. From there, you can also then get your score, and it will tell you what skill level you're at, and then you can go in and take a series of diagnostics in our Build Your Basic Skills area, which will help build you from one level to the next until you get to your GED readiness section. Computer skills are paramount in today's 21st century workplace, and Learning Express has a full set of computer tutorials to help prepare you for the new workplace and to help improve your digital literacy skills. And the way we do that is by providing tutorials on how to get started using a computer. So you'll learn how to organize data and to print and the roles of computers in our lives. You'll also learn how to use the internet and email, and we also have tutorials on learning how to use popular software. So you can learn different levels of Excel and Word and PowerPoint and Outlook, as well as different design and studio applications like Dreamweaver and Illustrator. Each one of our narrated tutorials obviously come complete with sound, but they're all streaming video and self-paced. With that, they also provide detailed demonstrations on how to use each one of these applications. You even have the ability to print out a certificate of completion, which will give the user something tangible that they can use for an potential employment situation. And all of this, of course, gives a competitive edge for the job seeker within the workplace. Now, I've talked a lot about Learning Express Library. One of the centers and the other aspect of what's available on TechShare is our Job and Career Accelerator program. And quite simply, it gives users everything they need to conduct a successful job search. And when we say everything one needs, what we're talking about is access to over 5 million job and internship listings. They'll be able to view over 1,100 different occupational cards and find out everything they need to know about that job. They'll be able to create great resumes with our resume builders and also create other letters with our letter samples. They can do an assessment to find out the careers that best fit their interests, and they can also manage their job search with what's called the My Dashboard feature. Now, the My Dashboard is a very own personal job management system, and it gives you a 360-degree view of everything you've done so far within your job search. So it can show upcoming tasks you have with potential employers, all of your saved resumes and cover letters. It'll even show you all of the tests and tutorials that were referred to you and all of your saved jobs as well. Now, when it comes to a job search, some that are new to the workforce or even those that are changing fields can struggle with filling out a job application. So what we did was create a job application click-through course. And what it does is it provides informative examples and helpful hints of what to do on a job application, including a great do's and don'ts featured when you hover over different areas of a sample application to show you exactly the way you should and should not fill out a job application. On top of that, we give you printable material so you can print out a job application checklist to make sure you bring everything you need to fill out the application and, of course, for the interview as well. And then you can even print out a sample employment application so you can practice filling it out the right way. Our Occupation Matcher is an assessment that will match occupations with your interest. Essentially, it's the ONET profile, and all you have to do is click on whether you like or dislike or unsure of different work-related activities, and once you've completed it, it will give you a score of occupational types that are of most interest to you. From that area, you can find out exactly what types of occupations those are, and then view all the matches that we provide to you. And each of the matches will provide some of our the 1,100 occupational cards I referred to earlier. Now, these occupational cards will give you information like salary and wages and trends, also specific occupational tasks and general work-related activities. You'll even get direct links to the occupational practice exams that we have within the site. We also have added on the new version of the Job and Career Accelerator an Espanol button, so it can change the entire occupational card into Spanish. And all of the pages here on the occupational cards are fully printable, so you can bring them wherever you need to. Also, within the occupational cards, you'll get live listings for that specific occupation. Now, as I mentioned previously, this site has 5 million job listings, and these job listings are aggregated for all over the Internet, from major job boards like Monster and Career Builder to industry-specific job boards to the corporations themselves. And you'll have the ability to search not just jobs, but also internships, which is great for college students. You can even do industry-specific special filter searches, so you can look for eco-friendly companies or diversity-friendly companies or even working mom-friendly companies. Our resume builder will guide job seekers through the entire writing process of the resume, and these include step-by-step instructions as well. Within the Resume Builder, you'll have access to over 200 model resumes, and you can see one of these model resumes right on the screen. You'll also have access to over 750 different action words to help you create your resume, and over 25,000 job-specific keywords. You'll even have the ability to incorporate parts of the model resume within the base of your own by using our Add to My Resume button, which you can see on the right-hand side. You can just click on it and it'll incorporate that part of the model resume into the base of your own resume. We also provide letter samples, so you can create great letters to accommodate the resume, whether it's a cover letter. We even have different samples for networking and job offer and follow-up letters as well. The interview is another, probably one of the most important aspects of your entire job search, and Learning Express helps provide a series of articles through our Job and Career Accelerators to help with effective pre-interview preparation. So these include articles on interviewing styles and how to evaluate job offers. There's even a section on here that will help you give advice on how to answer the 10 most popular job interview questions. So in conclusion, Learning Express, with its Learning Express library, test preparation, and its Job and Career Accelerator program, helps your users get prepared for today's 21st century workplace. So whether it's GED preparation or occupational practice exams or improving your digital literacy or getting prepared for a WorkKeys exam, Learning Express Library and the Job and Career Accelerator will help provide your patrons and students the tools that they need to help them get ready for today's workforce. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Don. This is Gloria. And Don, you've got a question via chat. Can Learning Express resume be transferred to regular email? And this is a good time for you folks, if you've got questions, to start typing them in, and we will do a question and answer period in just a couple of minutes. But Don, I wanted to give you a chance to respond to that quick question, if you would.
Yeah, well, when you create your resume, one of the aspects that you have on the Job and Career Accelerator is on your My Dashboard page. They'll have a listing of all your resumes, and there'll be a little email button next to it, so you can email your resume off of the Job and Career Accelerator. So yes, Learning Express resume can be transferred to a regular email address.
Great. Thank you so much, Don. And again,
You're welcome.
start getting all your questions together. So you've heard now some great resources. You've heard from LG talking about some of the good stuff that they're doing at Fort Worth Public, and through Learning Express, you see that you've got a lot of information available to you, a lot of resources for your clients. As we're looking, take a step back a little bit and look at the broad range of what libraries are doing. I found an important question that I was getting asked from libraries, thinking about workforce, knowing about what programs they do, knowing about what other libraries are doing, and resources that will allow them to sort of grow their own programs. What are the broad areas of focus that are needed in today's Texas environment on workforce issues? And I actually went through the Texas Workforce Commission publications and some of their needs of statement of needs in their annual report. And interestingly, they focus on broad issues like literacy, adult education, civics, which I had not thought about before. But there are a lot of people who are entering the job market that actually don't know a great deal about civics, and that's an important component when you're in a workplace, when you're dealing with other people. Wanted to know more about computer skills, veteran services, which are a high priority in the state and certainly in the federal act, support for business training. I thought that it was very helpful for libraries to think in terms of what they are offering that is in great demand by workforce providers, and also the kinds of assets that libraries bring to the table. We have facilities and fluid hours and different access points that, if you think about, are extremely critical, particularly with some of the cuts that happened in Workforce Solution Board's offices a couple of years ago. They had to downscale some of their physical sites, so they are not as able to provide as much sort of training and access as before, so libraries are a very good partner. And we have so many programs that we offer. Just thinking about what you all offer in your own libraries, you can see that there is a great wealth of opportunity. There are, again, looking at the kinds of resources that are available at libraries, and I put this information out there so that you'll maybe think about how to market your library as a workforce partner. And by the way, all of these slides are available on the website, and Ted will send this out. You've got the downloadable information, so you've got all of the text that's available in the PowerPoints and resources available to you. Some of the resources, again, the exams and some of the resources that Dawn was talking about. We've just got so much at libraries, we tend to forget how rich our resources are and how to market them in one particular area. There are some extraordinary examples of what libraries are doing. You heard from LG. If you all want to do a little bit of library work, you can go back to the 2013 fall issue of the Texas Library Journal, where we featured several libraries across the state and what they were doing with regards to workforce development. Wonderful examples of some business outreach programs in North Richland Hills and Harris County Public Library, and I think Harris County was featured in the winter issue. Little Elm Public Library and their adult literacy program. There's just so much going out there. Laredo Public Library, Cyber Mobile Computer Lab, and I know Houston Public also has a similar program. One of the stories that really made a huge impact on me that I thought about, and this comes from the State Library's Return on Investment study a couple of years ago that was, I think, very, very good. They captured some stories, and in Crockett County, there literally was no recourse. There was an employer who needed to fill jobs, but needed those workers trained, and there was no local way of doing it other than the public library. And the library there was very willing to be a good partner and provided resources and worked with the employer, and they were able to find jobs and train these families for the work that was available locally. And to me, that says it all. When a library is truly partnering with the businesses and the workforce interests within the community to get people to work and improve their lives, there just isn't anything better than of what we do. So that's, I think, a very powerful statement of who we are, but just one example of how we touch people every day. Again, it's thinking about workforce. To me, it's all about how we can better serve our clients. It was interesting to me a few months ago, there was a discussion on one of the lists. There was some concern about libraries taking on more work. And I realize that everyone is very busy and we've got full agendas in our libraries and what we're doing. The good thing about workforce support is that it's part of our mission, it's part of what we already do, and it's very helpful to know that there are so many libraries across the state that are already undertaking these efforts and that there's room to grow. There's room in terms of need, and there's room within our own, within our skill sets and capacities to use more resources that are available to us, and hopefully with some public policy changes, there may be additional financial resources as well. There are lots of tools available to you. At TLA, we created a slate of resources kind of under the project Win at Your Library, Your Workforce Investment Needs. We've got some sample PowerPoints and bookmarks and flyers that you can distribute to job seekers, to local businesses, and these are all scalable. These are all tailorable. You can put in your own logo. You can change it. You can muck around with it. There are many of these kinds of templates. No need to recreate the wheel. You can use some from other libraries. You can use some of this information. It's all available and downloadable from the TLA website. And just let us know if you're using them, just so we can keep up the best practices and find out what's going out there. I do want to take a second to thank Learning Express. They have been wonderful partners to TLA and have really supported us over the last year in our workforce efforts and getting to legislative offices and helping to promote the work that you all are doing in workforce and college and career readiness. So they are. It is with much appreciation that we thank them and welcome Dawn to these webinars. So here we are, and I would like to open the program to any questions that you have of any of the speakers. And thank you all for being here this afternoon. So there's a question from Mark. Are there versions with bigger fonts? And Dawn, I'll let you take this on in terms of where folks can get additional information on the Learning Express suite.
Okay, Gloria, thank you, and thank you for the kind words. Again, we're very thrilled to be working with TechShare and TLA to help provide Learning Express Library and the Job and Career Accelerator for everyone in Texas. And to answer the question, we don't have different versions of Learning Express Library or Job and Career Accelerator other than the ones that are available within your library. We did take, care to create these programs to help them be prepared for the types of exams and skills that are on the site itself. So I'm sure many of you know that have looked at the program. It does start at the elementary or the 4th grade level, and everything that we do that is on there is designed to help those, whether it's adult literacy or preparing for being at the school level, elementary, middle, or high school or college preparation. So there's something on there for every level, and of course occupational preparation as well. So we've tried to create the program for all of those depending on the different types of needs. But to answer more specifically, there's not a different types of versions of the site, just the ones that are already available within your library.
Thank you, Mark, for that question. All right, folks, going once, going twice. I will let you know that we will continue our work at TLA talking about this very important issue and bringing you more opportunities to learn about the best practices out in the field and to bring you more resources. We do expect to do some more targeted work and showing you what's going on in Texas and what's coming to you in terms of the public policy front. I see Jay from TechShare from the State Library is typing. This is a good time for me to make a plug for the electronic resources available through the state. We are looking at the legislative session coming up, and Jay has included the link to the the Learning Express FAQ on the State Library's TechShare site. So you all will see that on there. And it's a really good source of flyers and information, not only for you, but also for your patrons. We are so excited about the prospect of being able to work towards increased funding for the State Library for programs like TechShare and Learning Express. So we thank you all for your efforts and look forward to you all being good partners in the advocacy efforts in the coming legislative session. And we've got one final comment from Lisa. Some of the printouts at the top of the page are too big for my printers. So perhaps I know there's a function on the printers that you can actually scale to the size of your page, so that may be a good option for you, Lisa. And I thank you all for joining us, and have a good afternoon. This webinar is now concluded.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you so much. Before you sign off, I want to thank everybody, particularly our three speakers, Gloria Mraz, LG Swift, and Don Newting, for a great webinar with lots of great information. I also want to mention that our next free TLA webinar will be Tuesday, August 12th at 2 p.m., RDA Demystified. RDA, the Resource Description and Access Protocol, has replaced AACR2 for cataloging, but a lot of us who are not catalogers are still unfamiliar with it. We're going to do a free 3-part series on explaining RDA in clear terms so that everybody can understand it. So be sure to register for that webinar at txla.org/CE. And thank you again to our speakers and everyone who signed on today. We will be sending out the recording shortly, and so everyone will also be able to review the webinar through that. Thank you all so much, and we will see you next time.